Please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting the bell so you can be notified every time I upload new content. Also, if you're interested in seeing further commentary from me, please add me on Instagram. What's up, you guys? I hope all is well. So in this video, I will be reacting to Cocojones playing Hillarybanks in the new Belair reboot. And this topic was suggested to me by a subscriber. So you know who you are. Thank you for your request. You are the first subscribers to make a request. So this is special. And if you would like to make a request for a topic for me to talk about on the channel, you can email me at theishstarfiles@gmail.com, and my email will always be in the description box below, and you can always just grab it from there. And you can always email me any links or any situations you'd like me to talk about. So the email says, can you do a video on how a dark-skinned woman was cast to replace Hillarybanks in the Fresh Prince reboot? I see many dark-skinned women are celebrating it, but I thought mixed and light-skinned women weren't black to them. So how can a dark-skinned woman replace a non-black woman? In the show, Hillary's father is also light-skinned, so they can't say she should have been dark all along. So just off the bat, my personal opinion of reboots is that they're just generally obnoxious and a nuisance. I don't understand why we can't use original ideas to come up with new concepts for TV shows, films, and movies. I don't understand why we have to keep remixing the same characters and the same storyline over and over again in order to make television. Like, I don't know if Hollywood needs to get a new set of writers. I don't know what needs to happen, but I'm getting tired of the reboots. And I know other people are feeling this way as well, because when I was doing research for this topic and I was looking at tweets and things like that, I saw a lot of people agreeing with me. Like, nobody asked for this Fresh Prince reboot. And I know that this show Belair is only loosely based off the show Fresh Prince of Belair. It has the same characters and a similar character dynamic, but a different storyline and a different way of filming. So I do get that, but I still just kind of find it generally lazy when they continuously remix old TV shows and movies from the 90s and 80s, and it's just redundant and irritating to me. And despite my own personal feelings towards reboots, I'm happy for Cocojones regardless. I think that Cocojones is going to do an excellent job. She's a great actress. She's beautiful. She's talented. I'm also glad she's getting her moment to shine. This is a major part. You know, she deserves it. She's been in the industry for a while. And I do want to see more brown skin and dark skin girls in prissy roles, you know, rich girl roles, you know, just a diverse form of girly type roles. And so just to get into this email, even before I had gotten this video request, I had heard about Cocojones playing Hillary from this post that had went viral on Instagram and Twitter. And this is also how I found out about Zazie Beetz playing Stagecoach Mary in The Harder They Fall. So because I follow a lot of pro-black woman pages and also a lot of hashtags pertaining to black women, I get a lot of posts showing up on my timeline that are coming from pages that I don't necessarily follow. These algorithms are very thoroughly curated to get certain people's attention. And so if you see the names of these pages that posted this thread, these are the types of pages that post content in pertaining to black women and black women's experience. And 9 times out of 10, they're the types of pages that are used to sell things. So these social media pages are very strategic about how they advertise themselves and what they post, because they know certain content will capture the attention of the audience that they're trying to attract, because they know certain content will be more successful in the algorithm and get more traffic to their page. And so in the email, the subscriber mentions that she sees a lot of dark-skinned women celebrating Cocojones playing Hillarybanks. And that's why I brought up how much this particular Twitter thread was being pushed, because based on how it looked on my timeline from what I saw, it looked like to me as well that a lot of people were celebrating this also. But when I did further research into how people really felt about the reboot, a lot of people were not really feeling it that way. And so I think that that's interesting, because on social media, there's basically this groupthink mindset towards certain opinions or certain posts, and your timeline will just be inundated with one perspective or one representation of a situation, and it seems like that's how everybody feels and everybody agrees with this and everybody's posting this, when in actuality it's really just a handful of a couple big pages that are actually posting this, and they just have a monopoly on the algorithm. And so when you're seeing a particular post on your timeline 3 or 4 times a day, it does begin to feel like this is the predominant thought process of the public, and that most people agree with this. But in actuality, when I would look in the comment sections of pages that posted this thread, a lot of Black women were in the comments talking about how they didn't really care and how they didn't see why this was important, and that they could recognize that people were making this about skin tone when it's really not. Either people were saying, let's just be happy for Coco and it is what it is. Or a lot of people, I would say the majority of people, were saying The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a classic and they would have rather the character in the show gone untouched. So I actually don't believe that in most cases people agree with this. I think that these pages are playing off the skin tone dynamic because they know that will get a reaction out of people. And when it comes to making money and promoting shows within Hollywood, any press is good press for them. Controversy sells, strife sells. Like I said, any type of attention is good attention when it comes to the algorithm and promotion of TV shows and movies. And I'm going to be honest with you, seeing this post a couple of times did kind of annoy me, because I just feel like, why can't we just celebrate Coco and give her her moment and her accolades? Why does it always have to be this compare and contrast thing between dark-skinned girls and light-skinned girls? Like, I just find it to be super duper corny. I support Hillarybanks, the Hillarybanks character, no matter what shade she is. I'm not emotionally invested in what skin color she is, unlike these people, clearly. I'm just making the point that these pages know what they're doing, and they're being very intentional when they post stuff like this. This is why I also brought up that this same type of promotion is how I found out about Zazie Beetz playing Stagecoach Mary, and it was a almost identical situation, a thread from Twitter with an almost identical type of picture setup. It was a picture of Stagecoach Mary and then Zazie Beetz. It was a side-by-side image, and they were being compared. They know it's going to get a reaction out of people. They know it's going to get people to pay attention to the film or the TV show. And I'm starting to wonder if these media companies that promote these productions are doing this intentionally and telling these pages, because you'd be surprised who's in cahoots with each other. Everybody can pull strings nowadays. I wouldn't be surprised if whoever is marketing these TV shows and movies are using this skin tone dynamic in the Black community to promote their productions and to get people to pay attention to it. Like I said, all press is good press in Hollywood. So I wouldn't be surprised if these media companies are telling these Black Instagram pages to post these type of tweets in order to get more hype around the TV show or film. But the joke's on them, because us sane-minded Black women would have supported Cocojones regardless. We don't care about what skin tone the character is. We would have watched the show just to support Cocojones. And they just love to try to promote strife between Black women and try to divide us and, try to manipulate little issues and instigate issues between us. Like, it's just mad fucking corny. They know that instigating this issue always generates clicks and views and always gets attention, and that's why they keep it going. They only want to keep this light skin, dark skin shit going amongst the women, and we know why, because it's a divide and conquer strategy. Now in the reboot, the Belair reboot, now Uncle Phil and Willsmith are being played by brown skin and dark skin men. Yeah, you don't see anybody making the same type of tweet about that. You don't see nobody hype and excited because a brown skin dude is playing Willsmith. And I think they were very calculated and intentional with choosing to make this cast predominantly dark skin and brown skin. And I think that one of the reasons for this was because the show got so much backlash for replacing the original Aunt Viv with a light-skinned one. And that just shows you how much light-skinned women trigger the black community, because at the time that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was popular, there was no shortage of dark-skinned women on TV. The predominant image of black people at that time was dark-skinned and brown-skinned people. There were not a lot of light-skinned or biracial people in the black cinema or black TV as there was at that time as there is now. So they can't even say that that was a situation of eraser, because really light-skinned women were not being represented that much at that time. And like the subscriber who wrote the email said, Uncle Phil and Will, and I think another character too, I can't remember, they were light-skinned too. So honestly, having a light-skinned Aunt Viv isn't that inaccurate, because they were just representing a light-skinned African-American family, which is very common. So it's not like light-skinned Aunt Viv was out of place. And then it's like, how ironic that when she's literally with her male counterpart, Uncle Phil, it's a problem. But then if Uncle Phil had been dark skinned and she was light skinned, that would have been a problem too. So it's like we can't win for losing. Like maybe she was just the best actress who auditioned that day, because it's not like their first choice wasn't a dark skinned woman. And I think the first Aunt Viv was beautiful, and I loved her character. She was elegant, and I see her more as the Aunt Viv because that's the Aunt Viv I know. It has nothing to do with her being dark skinned though. It's just because that's the one I remember. So I understand in that aspect why people didn't like that they switched the character. But at the same time, I think, again, even in that situation, that was focused heavily around the skin tone of the actress. And so in the subscriber's email, she mentions that she sees many dark-skinned women celebrating Cocojones playing Hilary, but she thought that mixed and light-skinned women were not black to them. So how can a dark-skinned woman replace a non-black woman? If they want to create more division amongst their own group and further ostracize themselves from the rest of the world by way of continuing these skin tone politics, I don't really care. They can do that. They can think whatever they want to think. At this point, I'm divested and I do what I want. I don't really care about what's going on in the black community. I don't really care about all of these skin tone politics. The reason why I do this type of content is because there's barely any light-skinned people giving another side to the story or speaking from our perspective. My only concern is the well-being and mental health of black women and girls of all skin tones, all backgrounds, all ethnicities. And I don't like how colorism has been used as a mean to try to divide us against each other, when we need to be listening, respecting, and loving each other and understanding each other's plight. It's not a competition or something for us to go back and forth about. It should have never been phrased as a woman versus woman issue, because it's not. But it has been, because the predominant voices in the colorism conversation have been coming from male-identified, mammied black women, not black women who are genuinely for the betterment of all of us. The majority of the black community definitely still sees light-skinned and mixed people as black, despite what they may say. And I think that whole saying that we're not black is more of a emotionally manipulative power play. I think they want to keep light-skinned and mixed people feeling in limbo and feeling like we're not accepted anywhere, because then it's easier to control us. It's easier to control and dictate how we feel about ourselves and our perspective and worldview. And that's why they spend so much time trying to guilt trip us into believing that we're treated so much better than them and that we have it so much better. Mind you, they'll never take any of that smoke or energy to other non-white people of color. It's because they see us as being part of their sphere of influence. When I was doing research for this video, I came across this Twitter thread of this black girl talking about representation in the media. And as I've already stated, I do believe that brown skin and dark skin girls need more representation. So I don't disagree with the premise of her post. Where I disagree with is that you're literally making a clear point that white women are overrepresented in the media, yet you're saying that this is an issue of colorism. And again, look at the visualizations that she chose to make this point. Like, they literally talk about light-skinned and biracial women as if we're their adversary, and we're not. If some of these white women would sit the fuck down and stop getting so much representation, it would be room for all of us, and we wouldn't be having to sit here fighting over crumbs. And about a year ago, I remember Jodie Turner-Smith was cast to play Queen Anne, and Latasha Lynch was cast to play 007, and I was super excited about both of those roles. Those are both beautiful women. They're great actresses. I think they're going to do well, I've seen some of these productions already because they came out and they did a great job. But you did not see any comparing and contrasting in those situations either. They were not posting side by side pictures of the original Queen Anne and Jodie Turner-Smith and celebrating the fact that a dark-skinned woman is playing a white woman. See, when it's a black woman versus white woman situation, there's never any of that same energy, and it's never represented the same way. But anytime it's a situation of a dark-skinned or light-skinned girl playing an opposite character than what was originally cast, then people want to start with all this comparing and contrasting stuff. And so, just to bring it back to Cocojones playing Hillarybanks, I think one of the reasons why these social media platforms knew that it would get a lot of attention out of people to post about how Cocojones is playing Hillary is because historically these types of characters, the bougie rich girl, was generally played by a light-skinned woman. And in my opinion, this is largely based on stereotypes, because this is kind of a stereotype of light-skinned women, like that we're bougie, that we're stuck up, that we think we're better than everybody, that we come from wealth, that we're pampered, that we're not very smart, that all the guys are chasing us. These are all stereotypes that are generally associated with light-skinned women. And a majority of these black sitcoms of the time, and even today, or even these movies that like Lynn Whitfield was in, did play off stereotypes. You could argue that we do have a better image in the media because we're usually portrayed differently than other black people. That from a female perspective, this is positive promotion, and that light-skinned women have been generally promoted more positively than darker and brown-skinned women. And it is something to celebrate when you have a dark-skinned or brown-skinned woman playing a rich girl role. I agree with that. Where I disagree is that we're not in competition. It's not a competition between light-skinned women and dark-skinned women. I think there's space for both of us to have those roles.